Welcome to the SummerSlam review. I'm Adam Wilbourn from What Culture, joined by another one of the Dolly Boys, Michael Hamflett from What Culture, to review everything that happened at SummerSlam this weekend. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week complete. The really good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, though, joined by Michael Hamflett to review SummerSlam from the weekend. In my opinion, the best show of the year. I loved every single second of this show. And I know sometimes people say we come on here and we're far too negative. You are not going to get any of that today because... honestly, I don't know whether I was just in a really good mood when I sat down to watch this on Sunday night or whatever, but I adored every single match on this card, not just because we called pretty much all the results, or due to the fact that the Tribal Chief returned and... oh my God. I have to realise that's the wrong one. That's the Lou Bega one. I can't play that one. I'll get in trouble. And all the stories that were told on this show, but I genuinely think I enjoyed this show more than either night of WrestleMania. WrestleMania had bigger moments, but top to bottom, this card, I loved it. And I said to you this morning, I would happily sit down with a casual, even non-wrestling fan and show him some of these matches because I thought it was such, it helps if you've seen the preceding months that have led to all this. But even if you haven't, the reaction that every single match and result and title change and betrayal got, I just, from the word go, the first match obviously being so seismic in terms of what happened, I simply adored it. What did you make of this show? Yeah,
I feel like I'm going to blush talking about this because I just fancy it so much. You're brilliant, aren't you? Like, you made a very salient point there. It's going to feel like extra special or extra impressive or whatever if you've been watching along every week, but you could still enjoy it on its own terms because of the setting, because of ultimately what WWE does really, really well, which is just make itself appear like the only game in town. It isn't the shorthand for wrestling, but it's always aimed to make you feel that way. And if you are casual or just passing or whatever, you're going to watch this and think that. But I am somebody that is invested week to week, and I am somebody that has committed time and, in some cases, financial, in every case, emotional investment into all of these stories and all of these characters. And there was something about SummerSlam. I loved it, by the way. I don't think I'm as positive as you, but I'm genuinely looking forward to highlighting a couple of things that I think didn't work on a show where most things did, right? This, for me, was the night, more so than WrestleMania, actually, where I felt as though, unequivocally, if SummerSlam wasn't for you, and I dare say some people will be watching this and listening to this feeling, if SummerSlam wasn't for you, absolutely fine. This is not some sort of podcast that's going to tell you, no, you're wrong, SummerSlam was perfect, it's everything that pro wrestling should be. But I just felt like you couldn't watch this and not get why WWE isn't on fire in 2024. You couldn't watch this and not see what it is that people, and I'm people, get out of a show like this, And it felt like, you mentioned WrestleMania, there was WrestleMania, and then there was Dynasty Dynasty, and I kind of felt they were both WWE and AEW putting their best foot forward, and I kind of welcome AEW to continue doing what it is doing, and Wembley will be the contrast yet again.
Yes.
Maybe not quite as many people in the building, but otherwise will be the perfect contrast yet again, because I think All In will be AEW putting its best foot forward, and this was WWE doing the same. And those feet are going off in wildly different directions. Yes. And good.
Dave said something similar, didn't he? He said it was there wasn't great wrestling on the show. I disagree with him on that point when we get to
I think the ceiling could have been a bit higher, and I'm not sure they ever really pressed up against it personally.
But
I don't care.
No.
Right? And I didn't sense that people in the building cared, and I don't sense that, we've, just recorded the Raw preview. It's a bit backwards for us, but I didn't sense... We've tried not to talk about this show too much today. I didn't sense while we were recording the Raw preview that our enthusiasm, now that a bunch of stuff has been paid off, has been dimmed by SummerSlam. Instead, I feel like it's as bright as it has been all year because of the developments that existed as a result of the payoffs. This, to me, was a huge victory for the way Triple H books. Another stellar night for all the key characters and the big players within WWE's current sort of like narrative ecosystem within the current Raw and SmackDown rosters. The wrestlers that you are being advised to care about are in big time, big moment developments. And the ones that are, I guess, looking to get the spot will look at a SummerSlam and see it and go, well, that's where I want to be. Like the roster that aren't yet in amongst the mix that we saw on Saturday will want desperately to get there, because look at the rewards. Look at how invested all the fans are in you and in your quest and in your story. And look at how if you're holding a top title, look at what our WrestleMania or our SummerSlam, this is probably going to be the last one night SummerSlam, right? So expect more SummerSlams like this. Look at what these nights can do for you if you can, with creative working together, and then with the matches, get yourself in a position where you kind of become undeniable amongst this crop, because this is what this was a night of. Virtually everybody on this card felt like they belong there. Every match, 6 title matches and a singles blood feud, when typically now with the PLEs, the B shows in particular, have 1 or 2. It's nights like this where everybody with a belt gets to shine, where every major story climaxes. I know we haven't even got into the card yet.
Not the only ones, by the way.
And I'm sorry for waffling. This was another, for me, key sort of moment, capital M, in the Triple H era. I don't mean the one that he brands himself. I mean in his time since he's taken over creative, where it feels like, right, last year's SummerSlam, which I thought was a bit of a dud of a show in truth, right? What it did do effectively was start the road to the Survivor Series. And what we always said is the Survivor Series. What should it be in a perfect world? The road to WrestleMania.
Yes.
That's where really, not the Rumble, it's the Survivor Series where you should start getting the clues. So how would you get to the Survivor Series, where you start putting things in place in SummerSlam or the night afterwards? From SummerSlam last year, he did that to a white-hot Survivor Series with the bonus of a CM Punk that got you into a Rumble to Mania season, the likes of which we'll never forget. And now Mania at SummerSlam, based on this SummerSlam, for me, is evidence that the slump is a myth.
Yeah.
That the post-WrestleMania slump is a myth. Because if nothing else, if you're just boxing off WrestleMania at SummerSlam, Saturday wouldn't have been as hot. Saturday wouldn't have had as many payoffs and developments and cool moments without everything from WrestleMania tracking, without all of these, if not new, so if not a character like a Bron Brekker, box fresh from NXT, getting his first run, that have existed pre-WrestleMania, that existed in the year, such as the Judgment Day, such as Gunther. Like, if you hadn't put the work in post-WrestleMania, SummerSlam wouldn't have hit the way it did. So it feels to me like Triple H is getting into his rhythm of Mania to SummerSlam, SummerSlam to Mania, Mania to SummerSlam, SummerSlam to Mania. And I don't know how many different ways I can keep articulating that, as uncomplicated as it is, which is a negative to some people, and as how WWE cannot and will not ever be for every wrestling fan. You simply have to acknowledge, I think, at this point, the things that they get right and the joy that people come away with. I look forward to these events, feel immensely satisfied afterwards, and then can't wait to get back on the ride. It's a roller coaster. You want a really good one. You want to run back in the queue and get straight back on and go again. And that is kind of the WWE big show cycle for me at this point. Not Paul White. Like the major event cycle for me at this point is that.
Yeah, like I said, I had to watch this on Sunday night. I didn't get to watch it live, which is probably for the best, because I would not have slept following this show, especially what concluded it.
Just on that, by the way, my experience is informed by a certain bias, because I couldn't start live, but I was able to catch up. So it meant that I was able to skip Jelly Roll and skip a very, very long Manscaped commercial.
Yes.
So I'm not going to comment on the length and the cutting this time, because I had a pretty great experience, but I feel like I joined it. I caught live by Bayley, Nia Jax.
Yeah, to be fair, I got to skip through the ads and stuff like that. So that did save me some time, but it felt a tighter show because maybe because they had the 7 matches on the card. And I think we often sit here and say, whether it be a big pay-per-view or a TV, Dynamite or whatever, the excitement to be like, let's come into work, let's talk about it, and then let's go home and watch our favourite bits again. I said to Anne-Louise this morning, I said, I think I've just watched the show of the year, and she said, you were at WrestleMania. And I was like, yeah. That had The Rock and stuff. That's always going to be, right up there for me, especially that main event. But I was watching, and I said to her, I said, do you know about much that's happened? And she said, not really. I said, don't. When I get home tonight, we'll watch it all over again. Yeah. I'll happily watch every single second of the show all over again. And I was watching it, right? And I'd been the highest out of the three of us in the build. I know you've been sort of tentative.
Yeah.
more sort of, I think it's going to be good on the night, but they kind of lost their way with some things. You know, maybe it'd all been done and dusted a couple of weeks before SummerSlam. They're just kind of, let's just get to it at this point. Going through the show, right? And obviously the first match we'll get into in a second, obviously a brilliant start to the show. And then they just, no messing with Braun and Sammy, and then the US title match, and then Queen Nia sending a throne, and then Drew and Punk and Seth. And I know, again, as always, we say this with everything. It's all subjective. But you're only going to get one point of view from me, and it's all positive, baby, all the time. And it got to Gunther. It got through Drew and Punk and everything that happened there. Again, can divide people, and I know it has. But I really enjoyed what they did there. And I suddenly went, there's only the 2 world title matches left. And because I knew what had happened on SmackDown with the Bloodline rules, I went, well, as long as, I don't think they're going to, as long as Priest and Gunther don't screw this up, they can't fail, because Bloodline rules implied what we got. And I know some people are like, it went a bit long, but I was just like, well, we all know what's coming. I don't care. And here comes, Tongaloa, here comes Tamatonga, and here comes KO, and here comes Jacob Fatu. Please don't be injured.
Yeah, I hope he's all right.
And then you're like, there's only one thing left. I don't know what it's going to be. But we'll get to that in due course. Let's start at the beginning of the night. It was the Women's World Championship. Rhea Ripley trying to win it back from Liv Morgan. Rhea accompanied by Dirty Dominic Mysterio, aptly named. As with all these things, I'm not going to go sort of play-by-play through it. I did like the spot where Rhea gets, the cat and mouse at the beginning, and then Rhea gets posted, and the badass nature. I know there was a lot of posting.
Yeah, loved it in this match. Just don't do it again in every single one 3 times. That's don't think that's a big request to the agents to have one conversation with each other. Big this is it, right? I'll be the stick in the mud where I need to be here, because I didn't think there was a lot wrong with the show, but the things that were jumped out at me, and that was a big. It's pretty lazy. Do better. Rhea's was part of the story, and she was
badass. I'm just gonna pop it back in against the table, and the look on Michael Cole's face when she did it.
So committed to the bit, right? So there, you've got that. Try and think of other ways for people to gain the advantage in the match, because you're kind of opening yourself up to criticism from dorks like me, but also people that really, really don't like this product and want to find more reasons not to. You tap in that one.
But then, Morgan eventually brings a chair in, and he's basically like, well, whatever happens, I'll leave with the title here. But Rhea gets it off her. I think she hit with a riptide, and she's going to twat with the chair, and Dom says, no, don't do that. You won't win the title doing that. And then the spot we've seen many a time already, Dom slides the chair into the ring, texts the ref, Oblivion onto the chair, 1, 2, 3. Everyone's like, what's happened again? What's going on here? Bit of confusion, only very brief. And then the kiss, the smooch heard round the world. And Rhea, you've effed up now. I knew at that point, we're off to the races here.
Yeah. The pop when Rhea kicked, the first Oblivion, the one without the chair. So Dominic's ostensibly done the right thing.
She bumps. Yeah, sorry, she gets bumped into Dom. Yeah, he's on the apron.
Yeah, and Dominic's stopped Rhea using the chair so that she doesn't get disqualified. So at this point, I think everybody in the building thinks, so it's going to be the accidental interference spot rather than the out-and-out turn, and we're going to be made to continue to wait. So your brain has almost moved into that space of, bloody, I really wanted to know the next bit of this story. And then she kicks out. So it's not just the thrill of Rhea Ripley, the babyface, out for revenge, kicking out, and maybe she's going to win the title. I think subconsciously a lot of people are going, well, that's not the finish, so what's going to be the finish? And then obviously you get to the finish and you get to the reveal of Liv and Dom, and it's sleazy and it's grim and it's horrible, and there's tongue, and you're like, ugh.
Oh my God.
Press one button there.
Sorry?
What button are we looking for? Thank you. No, that's not right either. No, not that one. You must keep looking.
I'll keep looking.
Yeah, you keep looking for the right button.
Teachable moment! Teachable moment!
Fine, we'll take it. Obviously how grim and gross the kiss was, and the payoff of all of it felt immensely satisfying as somebody that has been engaged in this storyline. And obviously, so you see them walking out together, Rhea and Dom, for the big long shooting from the backstage through Gorilla into the aisle. And as you're watching them, Dominic smiles and then sort of scowls. So you're already nervy of, oh, God, is this night, you little bastard? Is this going to be the night?
Am I right, wanker me?
Am I right, wanker me? And he is yet again. And as they're walking away, and as Rhea Ripley is just cursing them in the ring, because like it's always about planting seeds, isn't it, with Triple H? Always. It either consciously or subconsciously, you kind of left think. I certainly am. You're left thinking of what you've just seen, but also what might happen as a result. And you're like, oh man, this is like, how does this possibly have a knock-on effect within the Judgment Day? Like, what next? And then, like, I don't want to step on your dick, but to immediately get to Damian Priest being raging, and he's so on Rhea's side. Like, did you know about this? And all this, like, no longer willing to put up, like, tolerate that Dominic's just done this to his best mate in the group. And all of them kind of, like, hands up, no, not as we didn't know anything about it, and what's to follow later. Not just good booking, not just really enjoyable, naff, soap opera schlock that gave you an awesome, I was going to say a conclusion to this part of the story, but WWE is so it just never ends. And now, how will Rhea get revenge? Where will all of this go? But to, dare I say it, kind of throw you off the scent a little bit for thinking, well...
But also, Balor said thanks for the trust or something.
There's all this tension that exists between them.
Yeah.
And Balor has always felt like this third man in this Dominic and Liv story, and maybe that'll get revealed on Raw tonight if there is indeed any sort of grand plan. But at no point after this did I think that tonight was going to be the night that Finn's part in it. I thought we've been given something here. We're not going to get what else we would.
They still hold it all together. Just
Dominic on the out sort of thing, and then obviously later on played out differently.
Yeah, just a brilliant ending to the first match, and you're like,
match wasn't great, and I would say that is a bit of a theme of the night. I don't give a shit.
Yes, I say this often when we talk about WWE shows. I think sometimes
they're too good for their own good.
The experience from watching WWE for so long lends you to. I talk about this often when I talk about the Cole Gargano match from TakeOver New York. Of you go, this happens, and of course then that's the finish. And when that's not the finish, because you've been so trained to expect that, it just adds an extra dimension to it. Whereas you're arguably more tuned to expect kickouts or, huge moves in AEW, for example.
Really over false finish is better than ever because so many of them have been played out now,
Then we got a 5-minute and 42-second match for the Intercontinental Championship. We talked on the news this morning about how that was cut short for time. It didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like I missed out on anything in this match. Bron Breakker's not messing about now. He's coming to kill Sami Zayn. He's not, treating him too lightly. Sami's still Sami.
Yeah.
He still did what he had to do against Gunther, so you can't count him out. And he's still catching him and chucking him into turnbuckles with exploders and what have you. And Bron's still hitting that awesome Frankensteiner of his. And it looks like maybe Sami might get away with it again. And I think they're kind of justified in what they did in Money in the Bank as a result of this match, because you thought, he's going to come up short again because he's just going to get a haluva kick out of nowhere. Nah, Bron kills him with one spear, and then the moment he starts bouncing off those ropes, I was like, well, shine that title up because it's switching. And it happened. Bron Breakker's your new Intercontinental Champion.
I want to watch this back tonight, having only learnt today about the time being cut in half. Because I'd love to be able to see, how AI, this awful new technology thing where it makes a picture come to life.
Oh,
just
yeah.
The most disgusting of ways, these meme images that they can now make move, and it's.
I don't like it.
I don't like it at all. There's that one where it's the meme is the woman going.
He's thinking about other women. I saw this today as well.
The woman turns into a dog, and then the dog turns into the third guy, and then
the other guy goes old.
The third guy goes really old all of a sudden, and then he's sort of behind the bed, and the woman that first turned into a dog has turned back into a woman, and she gets back into the bed, but then the first man turns into a dog, and it's just
animorphs, isn't it? It's horrible.
Dogs and men and women and all sorts. It's AI is a mistake, but I want to see the AI animation of this match going beyond the runtime it went. How did they get there? Because there was a couple of spots here where, when Sami would go for an opportunistic haluva kick or just something thinking he'd spotted a window and Bron's not this time. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that it wasn't even a cut off as such. It was more of a nope, but not like a Samoa Joe walking away and on with the match, just sorry, mate, not tonight.
Yeah.
Not tonight. Absolutely no chance tonight. Just a really lovely extended squash that Sami Zayn made you think was competitive. That was what we were watching.
Yeah.
Braun never lost control. Not really. Had learned everything he'd needed to learn from the first match they had. If you're receiving this as real, and you're supposed to. We'd seen on Raw that he was, when it came to like TV moments or like, oh, Sammy's at work, I'm going to catch him now with a spear. I'm just going to put him in his place, remind him who's boss. But if anything, that made Sami Zayn a touch overconfident. And he thought, I can get him here. And Braun just going, no, you can't. I'm the champion now. I thought it was just really, really nicely measured. I do wish Braun hadn't hurt his shoulder on the post.
Yeah.
Other than that, like a lovely, lovely bit of business and a great way to crown Braun. A totally different energy to the squashes that have been getting him over on Raw. But this was like yet another way to get him over to that next level. I would quite like to see him just decimate somebody in a title match. I want to put the belt on the line next week and then just have him crush somebody.
And now you'll buy as well, even if he is in trouble against someone who really puts in a performance, and he takes one spear, and that's it, and he's going to retain that title. I don't know how you get it off him now.
That's it. And like the spear is this historically dangerous out of nowhere move, and Bronze is one of the best ever.
Yeah.
So he's kind of good to go.
Then we got the United States Championship match. Logan Paul defending against LA Knight.
Yeah.
And we thought, which wanker are they going to have with Logan Paul this time?
Yeah.
Machine Gun Kelly was a great shout.
Right, wanker me. I'm a singer. Just the hooded security guard. Like, just a couple of dickheads, man. just the worst energy, but I suppose used to the greatest effect.
Yeah. And LA Knight arrives in Logan Paul's prime truck and puts the window through.
That could have done with maybe a pre-tape, that one, because it looked like he was really struggling. Slash didn't want to Goldberg himself and like do his, like a shard comes out and does his arm.
But we were worried that in Cleveland, how's the babyface dynamic going to work? Absolutely fine, turns out. Everyone still hates Logan Paul.
Yeah.
They fight before the bell even rings around ringside. Logan attacked LA Knight as part of his entrance, but LA Knight hit a neck breaker, was it, on the table? This did not move.
Yeah.
Always good.
That would come in later.
And again, another posting spot for LA Knight, but he comes back into it. He does that. Well, prior to that, I should mention, Logan Paul, I know people have very strong opinions, understandably, about him. You cannot deny he is a phenomenal pro wrestler. That springboard moonsault to the outside was a thing of beauty.
We've said this before. He just takes something he likes the look of. Doesn't really think about where it would fit in a match, but just sees a clip and like, I might do that. And then just learns to do that with every passing pay-per-view. I'm not going to miss him if he goes away for a while.
I think he will. He gave a lot to LA Knight here in terms of, like, he got the bionic arm fist thing. Kicked out of that. LA Knight hit that. Always risky. One slip and you're like, oh, cool, the aura's gone. That superplex, jumping up to the spot, jumping up the top spot of LA Knight's there.
The jumping, the jump from the middle rope to the top rope looks really cool. The basically super brainbusters, he's accidentally invented one of the scariest moves. Like Will Ospreay will probably borrow that and do it on purpose. Obviously theirs was just an under or an over rotation. But it's like, that's a move. I don't want to see people doing it very often, but it's a move.
Logan Paul's cutting corners, raking eyes and what have you. And he's got his gaggle of knobheads at ringside.
Yeah.
That LA Knight just goes, I know where this is going. Pulls him, kicks him. And then you think, oh, no, you've concentrated too much on beating them up. And Logan Paul attacks him, posts him there on the outside. And here we go. Where's the brass knucks? They're around MGK's bloody neck. They're on a chain. And again, this is what I was talking about earlier. There's a bit where you're like, he's not spotted it, and they're fighting on the apron. And he gives him and you're like, oh, and he's setting up for the buckshot. And he just caught him.
Yeah.
Just hit him with a BFT. LA Knight wins. Great.
I think, am I going to be generous to this? The finish
the crowd reaction was insane.
It was. The finish was sort of stupid. But the response, again, maybe it's a lot of ends justifying the means of WWE in general. The feeling of LA Knight winning that belt was pretty powerful. I punched the air when LA Knight got the win. I really did.
More than just a catchphrase, isn't he?
He is. I was really, really buzzed for him. You could sense a certain... It's weird to say this about a character like LA Knight because the roots of it are in kind of that entourage douchebag figure. But at this point, there's a real warmth around LA Knight, and there was a real sense that everybody was rooting for him to finally get what he deserves. We talked about this US title match as a potential WrestleMania thing, and it just never really came to pass, did it? So you sense that he's been made. Was it SummerSlam he got the Slim Jim thing? So that was like a full year ago. Like, you feel like he's been made to wait, and maybe the patience has been rewarded here because after he lost to Roman Reigns, he's proven his ability to, he's proven his staying power ultimately.
Yeah.
And yeah, the finish was a bit dumb because we know that punch without brass knucks can take out somebody because of the metal.
Unless they're just cheap, they've cheaped out on the. If they weren't brass knucks, they were a chain.
That's true. He didn't have the full wind up. It was very much like a whoosh, whoosh, like that, a bit of a rabbit punch. So it was a very, very, very feel good moment. WWE has a ton of mega over baby faces, and your job with mega over baby faces to always leave fans with ideally more than one per show, but feel good moments. Cody Rhodes has rode a wave of feel good right the way to the top of the entire industry because you want to feel good sharing in his joy. And honestly, there was an element of that with this LA Knight title win. It felt bigger than I imagined it would. And you got to give LA Knight a lot of credit for that.
I was about to say, thank you to everyone who's joined us live on YouTube, by the way. I will get around to your comments and questions in due course, but I've just noticed Aditya Krishna Murphy saying, is it fair to reappraise LA Knight as a worker? He's not had any stinkers for all the times people have called him mid or worse in the ring. And Neon Knight says, LA Knight finally getting his flowers.
Sidge makes a point about Joe Hendry and how it's never been a better time for Joe Hendry to come into WWE because it's catchphrase heavy, it's slogan heavy, it's character-driven babyface stuff over work rate, over traditional work rate, moves. Like, I don't want to reduce anybody when I say things like that, but you know what I'm saying? There's a type of star. I think because that is happening in WWE, it's been a bit too easy to say that about LA Knight. I love, more than most, Jey Uso, but he's not having the matches.
Yeah.
And and if we're going to compare those two and they're easy comparisons to make, LA Knight might not have these instant classics, but we just do not talk about LA Knight like we talk about Jey Uso in terms of bell to bell.
Sorry, I've just seen another of Aditya's comments. Thank you again for everyone who's joining us, calling us Dr. Fed and the OTJ, the one true journalist.
I like that.
I'm having that, popping that on a t-shirt, mate.
That feels like it could go on a t-shirt. If only there was an event where one could sport a What Culture branded t-shirt.
Well, it's funny because no one's actually bought one of the t-shirts with my face on yet for our live show.
Right. So you don't believe that. I don't believe that at all.
Have you seen the numbers? Oh, you have, yeah.
I have seen the numbers. And he's trying to get Beggy. There's a slight bit of competition within
friendly competition.
Friendly rivalry. We're all getting absolutely smoked by Stacks. So I don't know.
For the AEW show, but
no,
yes.
Where does his commission go? To like Stacks care of WWE?
I'll make sure he gets it.
All right.
Whatculture.com/tickets for our live show ahead of All In, and do join us for a Sweet Chin Disco afterwards. Just search Sweet Chin Disco, or do both those things quick. They're selling out.
Yes.
Right, what came next on this card? Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. It was the WWE Women's Championship match. It was Bayley versus Nia Jax, and regarding that match, as many people have already said on Twitter, I have just one thing to say to you, Michael Hamflett, and to the lovely listeners and viewers at home. See? Sorry.
See?
Vindication!
Yeah.
In fact, I've just remembered what I forgot to get.
Okay. What's he cooking up here? Oh my. There she is. Okay.
There she goes. I do apologise to my queen, to Queen Nia, to your new champion, because Nia Jax ascended her throne.
The right call, without a doubt.
Do you think they are holding off on giving Bayley the thing now because they're going to do it for when she comes back? Like, as a, you know, I'm not saying she's going away for a bit, but like, when she didn't need, crowds love her, obviously.
Yeah.
And they've loved her prior to WrestleMania. They've loved her all the time.
It's kind of a good job they've loved her because this reign stunk.
Yeah, but like, in terms of like when she might need a little bit of a oomph, that's when you give her the theme back.
I mean, you give her her old theme back, or you just simply replace this absolute toilet one, and it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I was more than ready to have the title taken off her just for the theme.
It's one of the worst ever, isn't it? Ever, ever, ever. But let's talk about Nia Jax, because although, like, Nia Jax is always going to only wrestle to a certain level, but I think what we thought that level was is now so much higher as a result of this comeback. It's not.
She went on what I like to describe as a royal rampage in this match.
Would you like to describe that?
That's what I'm calling it.
Yeah, I think people are just going to love this entire podcast. I don't think Nia Jax is getting the flowers she deserves, but I don't think she gets quite enough credit for what an excellent big match wrestler she's become. She is not wrestling every week.
No,
so there's not this idea that like now she's back and she's making towns and like that. But when she is on the big stage or in a match with stakes, it just feels huge. It feels significant, and she's using her like God-given skills ultimately in an entirely different way than she used to. So whereas she was once this monster from NXT who felt as if she was just never really hitting her potential, it was like the facials aren't great, the movement isn't much. Like there was the injury record, which was always dogging her once upon a time. Not to mention like a few things online that like people might not necessarily take to, and then you're just like, there's just nothing about what should be, not just a something, she should be a somebody, she should be somebody that you kind of, as a heel, should be concerned about. You should be worried about your babyface champion fighting. And, well, at least twice she's had that this year, once with Rhea Ripley, once with Bayley, where they've booked it so that you can feel genuine concern for the babyface.
And Lyra Valkyria.
And Lyra Valkyria in the Queen of the Ring was going to be the other example of sort of this big stage, this big moment, high stakes match where she has absolutely delivered. I don't know if Nia Jax can get it done on a wet Friday in Little Rock, Arkansas, truthfully, right, as the women's champion. But what I do know is that if they continue to pen creative as strong as what she's had, if they continue to just lay it on as thick as you like with the Tiffany Stratton stuff, because you were the first one to point it out because you're the only real one in the game. But as soon as everybody caught wind of what you were saying, everybody went, oh yeah, he's 100% right. That's absolutely the move to make. They've got this tease now that they can play out for months and months where they only make Nia Jax stronger through these big stage victories, right?
I'd repeat this fake out cashing thing they did here as well.
Well, that was a nice touch.
I was convinced she is going to cash in, but she'll say, oh no, it was all part of the plan.
Because Nia gave her the briefcase under the proviso that she...
With a little... I didn't picture the strap.
That's right.
Oh.
She can wear it as a handbag and hold it as a briefcase. Nia's been a very thoughtful friend on the proviso. Don't cash in on me this weekend. And then when you think she's going to do it, and it's obviously all part of the tease and all that kind of stuff, they can still play with the trust, can't they? They can still play with the... I said you weren't going to do it. She's like, well, I wasn't actually going to do it. Yeah, all right, on to business, on to sort of... You can play with that for quite a long time. Bayley's title reign needed to come to an end. But I will say this was the best match of the Bayley title run, by far. Again.
Other than the victory, of course. Ooh. Okay.
I think Cedric could swing for me over the desks. But I was more invested in this than I was the Sky match, and I was there in person for that one.
I felt more it was up in the air, the result, I'll say that. This one, I mean.
Yeah, and maybe that was why I loved the callback to take over London.
The guillotine.
Yeah. Which Michael Cole, there's a couple of things he got digs for on this show, and I kind of want to go into detail of that in the Punk match, but the reference to a takeover show from 9 years ago, I think it's fine that you can lay it on. This is how she won back then. It's getting on for a decade ago. If you were Hulk Hogan wrestling in 1995, it would be the same amount of time from him like wrestling at WrestleMania 2. Like it's a long period of time you're asking people to know about, and the powerbomb was absolutely oh my god. Like again, in the right spots, in the right places, which Nia Jax finds herself in, she is delivering. It's just a really, really tidy match.
I bought the elbow drop off the back of that as well. And that's when, Tiff comes out with the briefcase. Bayley knocks her off the apron. Consecutive powerbombs from the Queen. And then consecutive annihilators. And she kicked out the first one. I thought, she's probably going to kick out this one. Which is the two of them. I was like, she ain't moving here. I did it on my own count to 100.
Brilliant. Consecutive annihilators.
And then, you've alluded to it there. Nia holding up the title and Tiffany being like, yay, I'm not looking at you whatsoever. I've only got eyes for that belt.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Really, really good stuff, this. Just so happy. So happy.
Everything's come up roses for you with Nia Jax, hasn't it, so far?
Right.
What a turnaround, by the way.
Yeah.
You were never, I don't think I'm understating it, you were never a biggest fan.
No. It's a bit ironic, on this show where they finally got Roman Reigns' babyface turn right after all those years. You'd have gone back in time and said to me, you're going to be one of the happiest moments. You're going to have two big moments. Roman Reigns returning to one of the biggest pops you've ever heard.
Yeah.
And Nia Jax winning a title.
Beating Bayley for a title.
Beating Bayley, and you'll be like, yay! Okay. Right, on to Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk with Seth freaking Rollins as the special guest referee. Right, let's have a...
That's what they played, has he?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, that's fine.
Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way first. Gear.
Oh, my fucking God.
Oh, my God.
Everyone was talking about the 1997 SummerSlam match. It's the greatest finish in wrestling history. So why wouldn't Punk wear not just any Bret tights, the Bret tights, the hot pink down the sides with the black and on the detail on the boots, and Drew McIntyre kind of like wearing black on black, so he could be an Undertaker. I'm going to jump ahead to something later in the match, but contrary to something CM Punk said, I do care about Seth Rollins' Sabu pants. Because, goodness gracious me, my word, those were a set of pants. The encrusted, bejeweled referee shirt.
Even better than I'd anticipated that.
The fact he had the jacket zipped all the way at the top, so he made you wait. He's clever, that guy. Seth looked great. Punk looked even better. Drew looked good. Aesthetics on point.
And the fact, that they did the Sean Chair, Bret Taker spot early.
Yeah. A lot about this match was loved by some, hated by others.
Yes.
So we're probably going to dance around all of them here. Michael Cole on commentary said shades of 97, right? And I get why fans of a certain age, ours, would lob bombs at Michael Cole for that. Let us just appreciate it in the moment. We're not thick. We don't need dictating to. It's not even just an age thing at this point. It's the fact that people on Twitter of all ages have been making the same comparison to the same match, and it's never been easier to find and see archive footage and learn about what got us to where we are today and all that kind of thing. It's nearly 30 years old. I think you are permitted, when something is nearly 30 years old, to highlight that, it's history repeating. It's like, I almost can't think of another time where a commentator has had to note that they are not paying homage, note that a similar thing is happening, and it be that long ago. I can't, do you know, it was when Kane slammed the Great Khali in maybe the most pathetic Hogan Andre tribute of all time, right?
Yeah.
Even then, the video package, they played that was 20 years. That was less time between Khali and Kane and Hogan and Andre than this spot they're paying tribute to. I don't think it's as spoon-feeding as people would have you believe. And I think, more's the point, WWE being the kind of on-fire market leader it wishes to be, I feel like years ago we would have been calling for them to actually acknowledge when these references take place rather than running from them. And I think this is part of it. I think there would have been a time where they would have done that, and we would have gotten ourselves giddy over the fact that they referenced this thing. But if Michael Cole mentioned it, he would have got a bollocking backstage. So I don't mind this being out there.
I agree with Victor Bettino in the chat as well, who says Seth Rollins stole the show. Yeah, it's a difficult tightrope to walk, that special guest referee.
I mean, that pissed a lot of people off too. Not me, but
no,
that he came in for criticism for that.
I loved from the moment he was like, respect my count in the corner, to then being like, I don't see anything. I want to keep smashing his head against the there was a bit where he did the Joe swinging him into the table, and I thought, is Punk going to get colour here? And I thought, nah, they're not getting any colour on this show. More on that in a bit, by the way.
Yet again, the table didn't break in any, the table just held firm when Punk got launched into it, which is a bit of really smart circus magic LTST for when it breaks later on. That's two massive table spots that haven't broke that table, so you're led to believe as you're watching the show, oh well, nobody's going through that, and then bang, when somebody does, it's nice. It's honestly, it's like, I wish they'd thought more about the shoulders and the posts as much as they did for something like that, because they protected the table. On Seth, that man weekly in what we're going to get with Punk versus what we've already had, has to constantly protect himself. And I have tremendous admiration for how he does it. That spot before the bell had even rung, where Punk just lobs his hoodie over Seth's shoulders. And like, see Seth typically in all of his refinery, but he's now got this like black CM Punk hoodie draped over his shoulders and a bit even over his face. It's like, ugh. And he just wipes his arse with it. And he does it, not just long enough so that the cameras pick it up, not just long enough that the fans in the building pick, like, I am not letting you get one over on me, you little bastard, Phil. He wants Punk to see that he's doing it too. And I earnestly love, I think one of the things people have loved about Punk and Drew is another thing they're going to love about Punk and Seth. Where's the fucking common denominator there? Is because it feels real. You feel like you are watching wrestlers that do not like this man, and this man not care that they do not like him.
Yeah.
And I think there are elements.
But they also
of that.
know there's money in this.
It's business, and there's so much money in this. And again, this is the point, right? Oh, he must hate him for real. Well, it's funny that because he just went up and took his worked finisher in a worked pro wrestling match. So like, the whole point is to be fooled, and I think Seth and Punk is going to fool you just as much as Drew and Punk have fooled you. And I will say, in defense of the people that didn't like this match, that seems to be the central point of annoyance here. This became a very WWE talking during the action.
Oh, no problem with that, baby.
Like, hold back from the blood feud element because, well, I'm saying these words, I don't totally agree with them, but like, I think people wanted a bit more blood and thunder violence, and instead they got something different.
I like the bit where I think Drew hit a couple of suplexes. Punk kicked out before he even won.
Yeah.
But it was one. It was one or maybe even two.
Yeah.
But because Seth's not your archetypal referee and he's drinking it all in, and that just winds everyone up even more.
Yeah. He was
like, where were you?
Yeah.
And that was going to feed into it, obviously, later on.
And we get a huge payoff to that later on, yeah.
So, yeah, at some point, Drew pulls out the bracelet from in his undercrackers and pops it on. And I thought it was majestic the way that they then set that up so that when Punk gets him in the Anaconda Vice and locks it in, the thing that breaks his concentration is up. And I know, it's, as you say, this is something that people will be divided upon. I really, really, really like that.
Oh, my God. I loved it. I absolutely loved. I called it on X as I was watching live. I loved the soapy elements of this as much as I knew people would hate it. I could tell. When I was watching it, I could tell. The reaction in the building. I can feel it's boiling in the studio. I've worn this jacket, which was a mistake. It's a noisy thing to take off. But I can feel the goosebumps emerging on my arm yet again. At the noise in that building at the second that Punk locks eyes on that bracelet and goes to rip it off. And all of us collectively realising at the same time. And it's
then him going after it and turning around, boom.
And it's a bracelet, but it's not, is it? That's been the whole frigging, like, detail in the story for the last month, is that this may as well be, like, £1 million wedding ring or, like, this sentimental ornament or something like that. I'll buy it. Do you know what I mean? I can buy that this item, whatever the item is, means more to Punk than anything else, means more than the world title right now or a WrestleMania main event. And CM Punk is a man that gets obsessed over little things and takes these little things incredibly seriously, and we know this about that man.
The bit about, you see it all the time. If someone's headband, Angelo Dawkins' headband comes off or whatever, the referee he chucks it out of the ring and puts it in their pocket or whatever.
Yeah.
So it made sense that Seth would be like...
it did make sense,
I'll put it on... he could have put it in his pocket, but he's a bit of a wanker. Puts it on, and then he had Drew up for the GTS, didn't he? And he said, what the...
You got that on.
What are you trying to do to me?
Just as bad as he is. And what are we seeing now? We are seeing Punk make the same mistakes that Drew McIntyre made earlier in the Fouad. We are seeing that Drew McIntyre, over the course of this 7 months, has played the mind game and lost it that many times that he has finally figured out how to win. Not just win the match, but win this battle of wills, win this mind game with CM Punk, and he's done it through the bracelet. Punk should have never fallen into this trap. Not once, but twice. CM Punk should have never done that. And the CM Punk back at WrestleMania, and the CM Punk at Money in the Bank, and the CM Punk at Clash at the Castle didn't. But Drew finally learned from his own mistakes and learned from all the times that he'd been obsessed by Punk to find a way to make Punk obsessed with him.
Eric Vasquez is correct me, quite rightly. Did the Sabu pants even have pockets? Very good point, that, Eric, and a great first name, I should say.
Indeed.
I also liked, I don't know, like you say, again, with everything on this card, in particular this match, the talking divides people. I gave a lot more leeway when the Bloodline was doing it in the pandemic, for example. I quite liked the sort of monologue-y element. I know some people did, some people didn't, whatever. It's not always about you, asshole. Punk's responds, hits him with a GTS and then says, it's not always about me, but it's never about you. And then obviously McIntyre kicks him in the cock. Claymore and McIntyre screams at Rollins, make the count. And he does.
And storms off afterwards. No happier with his lot.
That McIntyre's still got the bracelet.
That Punk line was unbelievable. Like, there is always a line with CM Punk. Always. Like, he's either got the wittiest retort, like on the fly, or they'll set up situations where you can tell that he's thought of something backstage that's going to go down really well and he knows how to deliver it. Again, it's such a matter of taste, this kind of thing, because I will take a moment, capital fucking M, the size of CM Punk saying that to Seth Rollins over like 3 Ospreay 5s. Like that.
Me too.
That is to my taste, ultimately, and I think that's why nobody is particularly in the wrong in this debate over this match, and indeed maybe this debate on the show. Probably this match sums up this show more than anything else on the card, and I think that's probably where you're going to fall on SummerSlam as an event.
Didn't like it, did he? I saw a tweet of his.
Oh, I don't know.
Crap and mattresses Punk, he called him.
I mean, that's pretty good.
So,
but that's what Punk derangement syndrome does to people, isn't it? But like,
he's on holiday. He don't care.
He don't care. He does not give a toss. I just like the fact that it still came down to a low blow, and Drew was still able to do something pretty, just like he's
not nice getting kicked in the dick, is it, Phil?
Yeah, he'll get to Scotland before you because he took the low road. I wanted a 3-way after this. I'd stick him in the cell. Like, I think there is the chemistry here.
I wanted a cigarette after this. I feel like I've been in a 3-way.
Knew it since I said it where you're going to go. I think you can get away with a triple threat in a cage here just as much as I kind of want them to get onto Punk and Seth now.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that in the Raw preview. Yeah. Do check that out for our pictures as well, for potentially a new direction for Drew.
For balance, I'll end on this. For balance, I quite like CM Punk.
Do you?
Yeah. For balance, I thought, look, he took a beating in this match.
Yeah.
Like, and would you believe it? Like, no broken bones, no torn muscles. He looked a bit gassed.
Mm. Yeah, it was a bit when he was climbing up to do the Macho Man elbow, and he went
Jerry Sanders,
and he was sort of like, he was sort of like, you're not working there.
Yeah, like he looked fucked for a lot of the match. Sorry, but no injuries, no nothing like that.
No.
So I've never taken a bump in my life. I've certainly never had a wrestling match in my life. I don't know what it is to have that kind of cardio. So there's the discussion on, is CM Punk physically what? Of course he's not physically washed, you losers. But like, in terms of whether or not he's too delicate, whether or not he can still go, whether or not having like the extra...
Give him Gunther, let's go.
Bigger here, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
His last singles match was the one against Joe, like at Wembley. Like, I'm fascinated by the rating of this because does it go above 3.5 stars? Like, I know which one I enjoyed more. Like, I think Joe Punk edges Punk Drew, but like Punk Joe wasn't 3.5 stars, was it?
No.
Punk Joe was like a 4.25 or something. So I'll be really interested to see if this ends up getting. I wonder if Dave's cognizant of that and he has to go like 3 or something like that. But you could argue, I think, a higher rating for this because the story and the drama was out the ass.
Yeah, I mentioned this on the Raw preview. I was amazed by what each man gave each other in this. Shows, that there's plenty more to go in this.
Totally. I love watching them work together because enough of it doesn't feel like they're working together.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
And then it just kept getting better because we got the World Heavyweight Championship match next. Damian Priest versus Gunther. Gunther, kind of one of the first guys to bleed out of his tit. It added to it so much, that didn't it? Of him just stalking him with the blood dripping down his chest.
Do you know what it was? I don't know if this was by design or what, but Gunther not looking down to blood, but to look up at the screen and see it, and then look down, and then like rub it on his face, and everyone goes, and you know that you're seeing this. Like you don't know, but you can tell from the fan reaction and from Gunther's eyes that he just looked up at the big screen, acknowledged it for the first time, and think about how you needed to think about that when the finish came along. How often do wrestlers actually see what's happening on the screen?
That's a really good point.
And I thought that was a really nice detail they put into the match. Foreshadowing. A fantastic finish moment of the show for me, this.
Leon Knight says 5 stars in the chat, yeah.
Best match, and honestly, there was a moment that we'll get to that was my favourite thing on this entire card.
I also liked the fact, I said, a real match that Damien Priest to hang his hat on for this world title reign. At no point did I think, he's outmatched here. No. There was a point where I thought Gunther's offense isn't hitting like it normally does in terms of like Priest was just eating it. Yeah. He'd like get hit with a drop kick or whatever, or get hit with a chop and be like, is that it? Yeah. And you almost got a sense of that from Gunther of like, what do I do now? Am I already going to have to go deep into I have to go up top or whatever it may be?
And that's how that's not an accident, that, is it? That's how you illustrate the jump from IC to World. Yeah. And that's how you illustrate for Gunther that it can't, if you're Gunther, you would like to think that all the time it is going to be as easy as you say.
It's tough because they had to follow that match where kind of anything went.
Whereas this
there was just like a South of Heaven chokeslam out of nowhere, and you were like, he's put him down here.
He could be out. Like Gunther had to work for this. And the whole point of the story was he thought that Damien Priest was trash. So straight away, his plan A of just getting in Priest's head and then easily beating him, well, that's failed. That's gone. So now you've got to not only get through whatever your plan B was strategically as a wrestler, you've also got to survive this challenge that you haven't taken seriously enough. So it was Gunther believing he could work on IC settings, and in fact he's got to work on world title settings for the first time, and he kind of felt like you could see that. It was illustrated through the work.
And they'd said before, but Balor was like, do you want me there at ringside? Priest's like, no. Balor's like, fair enough. But he didn't feel like, what's it called? The klaxon for like shenanigans.
No, yeah, you didn't feel like the fix was in, did you?
Because Priest is like struggling. It's like he needs someone to G him up a little bit, and he's there. And he's like, "Come on!" And he fires up. He's like, "Come on, hit me with another one, or a kick, or a chop, or whatever." He just fires up, and we were all there with him. Like they've managed to pull off that babyface turn exceptionally well from someone who just basically fluked. And a person going into WrestleMania, you went nowhere near the title picture. Thank you very much. And then you got that moment, and then you were like, okay, but then we'll have your JD McDonough's or whatever interfering, and he'll just kind of get by retaining his title, to now being like, come on, Damien, get up.
I think he's like, I said on X, I thought he'd like leveled up, and I was worried I was coming across like too much of a hopeless fed head mark in saying that, right? Because that's a very WWE thing. Like Damien Priest has leveled up. However, I was already a Damien Priest guy, but I've very rarely been able to articulate why. There was just something I've always quite liked about Damien Priest that I've ever really been able to love him.
This made me feel a lot more reassured that he's not going to drop this title and then be like, and now mid-card stuff, and then
Damien Priest could like rise back up again.
Yeah, it won't be like, do you remember that one time he was world champion? I mean, it's Money in the Bank, but you remember he was world champion? Like, so he fires up, Razor's Edge, South of Heaven chokeslam. He's got him. He's got him. And it didn't even seem weird that Gunther was on his front, so he rolls him over.
Yeah,
hook his leg.
I wasn't affected by that in the moment. I'll be 100% honest. I didn't like.
Looking back, yeah, I get it.
You see it back, and somebody's isolated it on X, and you do see it, and you think, that's really quite fake looking.
You were.
Nicholas was taken out of it by the roll into the ropes. That's like, I didn't catch that, but what I will say is that's probably on Gunther, right? Like, get a bit of spring in your bump, or however it is they do it. Like, the magic of it there is for Gunther to obscure, not for Damien Priest to have to be like, I'm going to have to make this work, so over we go.
And you go, he's got him. And he picks his leg up. And I suppose even looking back, even if I had on the first few, like you say, I caught it the second time, I thought, they've only done it there, so Gunther can just do the lazy leg on the rope.
Same.
Like, he couldn't kick out, but he just unfortunately was too... But no, Finn Balor grabs Gunther's leg and puts it on the bottom rope. Priest can't believe it. And then he looks at the big screen for the replay and realizes what's happened. He goes to go after Balor, understandably. And you thought, there it is. Gunther's caught him in the sleeper. And then he fired up again.
Oh, my God. Can you press the button?
The crowd are right there with him. Cradle, you thought, it's probably not the finish, but he's going to get out of it. But he can't then refocus Balor's still there with that look on his face, and he just grabs him through the ropes and just gets pulled back in by Gunther into the sleeper. I thought it was the best thing as well to have him just go out.
Yeah.
And Gunther's world champion.
Seriously, man, that last 2 minutes, that was the real shit, wasn't it? Like, you know when cinema got obsessed with 3D and you would go and see like a Final Destination movie, it's like, whoa, the spikes are coming from my head. Damien Priest reaching for Finn Balor felt like he was reaching through my telly to get him. That power out of that sleeper, the sleeper which, by the way, Finn Balor succumbed to on Raw, because you actually probably should pay more attention to the details than even we do in some of these like Raw TV things. Very little is thrown away, even if sometimes it's WWE and it feels like it is. That was a nice detail in an otherwise kind of boring match, let's be honest, between Gunther and Finn. To have that be the thing that put one last detail in a series, well, a year's worth, as we found out, a year's worth of Damien Priest has like taken over Finn Balor.
Balor's face as well.
But like Balor just doing like now that he's done the evil turn, I kind of want I want Wacky Balor back. But this was the night for serious Finn, because showing no remorse, even when he got rumbled, and getting rumbled mid-match, by the way, like absolutely double treble goated in terms of protecting your babyface. Like Damien Priest didn't look stupid, and then when he was trapped and he was brave and strong enough to get out the move, you didn't think he was an idiot for losing focus on the world title, because wring his neck, get him.
In 2 years or whatever,
He's done that to you, and he's got the cheek and the gall to just
You
stay
brought
there.
him in.
Yeah, if you don't get him now, you lose credibility for not just lunging for him. I thought this was so effective. And as well, you made the point that like Gunther kind of had to do more. He had to dig down deeper to get the belt here. I love that he didn't get it done clean as a whistle, but it never felt like it was a sort of banana skin win. They measured this perfectly. Gunther can absolutely go to Raw and say, I'm the world champion. I did everything I said I was going to do. He's not lost any credibility in the way he's won, even though he's benefited massively from the Finn Balor turn. This wasn't Finn Balor runs in, coup de grace, Priest out, and Gunther slaps an arm over. Nothing like that.
You can even argue that it's another reason for Randy Orton to be like, never really get it done properly, do you? Like, you didn't really beat me at King of the Ring.
That's brilliant.
I want that match, but then I think we're going to get a heel Randy versus Cody, which is absolutely fine as well.
Heel Randy and Cody. What you could do, and I've pitched something completely different on Raw, so I'm going to sound like a massive hypocrite, but Seth Rollins could be the first to want a shot because he's allowed one now.
Oh, yeah.
And him be the one to say, well, I got myself in the middle of it, and that was not worth it. Neither of you two morons are worth my time. I want the world title. And him get dragged back out of it by the Punk Drew stuff. And whoever goes into that slot.
Good pitch from us on the Raw preview as well about who faces Gunther in Berlin, of all places, of course.
Yeah. Love the match. Loved the match. Yeah. I wouldn't say, like...
I'd be intrigued if he goes 5 on that one.
I don't think he will.
I don't think he will either.
But it was the match of the night.
Not that it matters, of course. But
match of the night by some distance. And the one thing I will say where this wasn't quite good enough, if this had been... like, I'm trying to think of a better word than a star higher, but if this just had that one extra gear where we were talking about it in like match of the year terms, which we're not, I loved it, but I don't think we're going to be speaking about this at the end of the year as like a match of the year, moment of the year possibly for the Finn.
Watch it back at the end of the year, definitely.
But match of the year, probably not. If this had been that, I don't think SummerSlam would have left anybody with any kind of leg to stand on, because it's like, here's all these amazing stories, here's these twists, these turns, these reveals, these title changes. Like so much movement in all the stories. And by the way, we're going to give you a match that is comparable with the best wrestling in the world. Like WWE being able to put one match out and say, well, actually, this is where the best wrestle. Like they would have had it. Like, didn't we almost have it all? Didn't need it all. I'll take what I got. But that was the one chance where they nearly had the lot.
Then the Miz and R-Truth announced the attendance. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller come out and take a pop at them and Cleveland and what have you. And Jelly Roll. And R-Truth thought they were Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton. And then Jelly Roll did a huge choke slam, and then they did a 5-knuckle shuffle.
Jelly Roll's a weird guy.
Weird guy.
Jelly Roll's got a really weird...
Across both shows over the weekend, of course. Collision and...
Indeed he did. He was name-checked on Collision. Listen to our review to find out who he was compared to.
But yeah, normally it's like, attendance, celebrity stuff. But I love the got a chair, dickhead.
It was brief enough as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Main event time.
Rock and Roll Express.
Cody
I
Rhodes.
find this funny on Saturday. It's something about recapping our truth with you. I think it's like this perfect combination.
Let's have a laugh. Come on. What are we doing here? Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa, Bloodline rules the undisputed WWE Championship. Sikoa comes out alone, and we cut to Cody on his bus. And there's Pharaoh, and there's On Anderson, who says to him, "You've got friends, some of which you know of, some of which are on their way." And I'm going, he doesn't mean. I think he means. Does he mean what I think he means?
Like not big appearances. These are like Arn Anderson. The only Arn Anderson Cody Rhodes lore within the fiction of pro wrestling is in AEW. They weren't allies in any way on WWE TV, and in fact, when they came together in AEW, it was very much a Rhodes and when's he going to turn? A Rhodes and Anderson. When's he going to turn on you? So the fact that like they've just lifted that wholesale from like AEW canon it's something. I don't know what it is, but it was quite something to see. The fact that like Pharaoh's been brave enough to return to pay-per-view after nearly getting barbecued a few years back.
They kept him way in the back though, didn't they?
Good on Pharaoh. I believe this was Pharaoh's final PLE appearance because that was what somebody threw away a fucking press conference question on.
So, I know some people.
What are we doing? John Pollock wasn't allowed in. What is going on?
I know some people.
Nice.
I know some people sort of said, "I like this show up until Solo went 25 minutes or whatever it was." I don't know. Maybe it's just Cody's magic for me. Maybe it was just like because I knew it's Bloodline rules and I know what's coming. But I liked the fact that it was. I thought Solo had a really decent showing here in terms of.
Did you?
Yeah, I really appreciate it in terms of just thinking like we all know where this is going, but you need to establish for all the people that have said like Solo's kind of very much a pretender to the throne. You need to give him something there, and Cody's struggling against him, and Solo actually. I think it was the fact that Solo didn't just hit his offense; he had stuff that Cody did scouted, so it implied that he'd done his homework at least. But yeah, for the most part, you got your spinning solos and Samoan drops and what have you, and then you're just waiting, obviously, and then about 15, 16 minutes in, Cody hits a crossroads, and you just know at that moment, here we go. Tama Tonga and Tongaloa come in and beat down Cody. All that.
What did Tongaloa do?
Eventually, he got in the corner, sort of.
Missed the corner.
It's only,
Wilbourn on the news this morning. Must be the depth perception.
he hasn't got any depth perception. He's only got one eye.
Got 2 eyes though.
I like the game they're making out. I think it's a reverse sweep at this point. I don't want to see it go through a PLE cycle where he doesn't do something hilariously wrong. Like what's he? He nearly didn't get out from under the ring in his debut.
Yeah, messed that up, but he didn't pull the ref.
Yeah.
He missed the ref.
Double low blow where he hit Tama Tonga on the head while punting Owen's bollocks. Boosh. Now this. One for sure for me.
Yeah.
I want one.
So, of course,
Yeah.
to even out the numbers, you get Kevin Owens coming out. Numbers game catches up to him. Then Randy
That's Tonga
Orton.
Laura.
There's an RKO. There's a stunner in there.
Long old ramp, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, so Randy Orton slapping fights. He's like, like it's going to take me a good 20, Cody. So
You know the bit with, is it Monty, the Holy Grail, when they're like, running? It's still not made it to the bloody ring. They should get all those segues there for the Rumble that year.
like, you probably want to pin him now because Orton's there.
Yeah. Owens hits senton on Sikoa, Rhodes hit a crossroads, Sikoa kicks out, and then obviously those four brawl into the crowd. Rhodes gets the steps, hits Sikoa with it. Sikoa comes back and hits a spear as he's got him above his head. Sikoa.
Love the steps went flying, by the way. It looked awesome.
Yeah.
Bing.
Sikoa set up the steel steps in the corner, go to running, hip attacking, but Rhodes moves. And he hits consecutive crossroads. He's going to hit a third. And then here comes Jacob Fatu. Just seamless. Just flies. He's like a huge Darby Allin. Well, my body's a weapon. Jesus, is that allowed?
He's great, man, isn't he?
Hits a moonsault, drags Solo Sikoa into a cover, but Rhodes kicks out. So Fatu's like, well, guess I'll just kill him and you can pin a corpse. So he drags Cody outside, super kicks him, sets him up on the table, hits a big splash through the table, but the table, along with his leg, apparently they did that.
Yeah.
There was I was just astonished by it. And it was the bit where he does it, and he obviously goes, my leg!
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I've got to sell, oh, God. Anyway, time to get up. No, can't stand on that.
It's the second one, wasn't it? Because I'm the same as you, right? I'm watching, and like, my like, I don't know, watching it forever, klaxon goes off, and it's like, you don't know, but people can sell, they're amazing sellers. He's class at everything else, so why would he not be class at selling? And then when it's like a mix of, got to keep telling the story, oh, Jesus Christ. And he just stops short of basically says, Solo, pin him, you fucking cunt. Yeah. Because he's just like...
Get him in!
He's not moving. He's like and Solo takes one look and it's like, instincts, pal. I'm not getting up. I wouldn't be here for the good of my health, would I? Just get him in the fucking ring.
So Sikoa hit a splash. Cody kicked out. Cody came back with a Cody cutter. They're both down. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't a roof on the place, obviously. But if there was, it'd be in the stratosphere because new music, or a new beginning bit at least, but we all know what it was. Mm-hmm. The lights. Oh my God. Hang on, just wait a second. Oh my God.
That was incredible, wasn't it? It was just
8 years they tried.
Yeah. This is the business, mate. This is pro wrestling.
Papa H just went, I can do that. I'll do that. He just comes down. It felt like he was walking down to that ring. I know he said it long, but it felt like time stood still. Yeah. He walks down to the ring, and they did a really good job on commentary of the Hogan's the third man almost, of like Corey's like he's here to get Cody, and in your head you kind of know what's coming, but you're also like, got a great point, Roman. Like Cody's cost him the record breaking reign, everything in front of at WrestleMania.
I'm just screaming OTC at this point. OTC, OTC. It's like my favourite catchphrase of all time, and it's existed for all of 2 seconds.
And it wasn't like, I did like the fact that he didn't come down and go.
Yeah.
He just got in there and went, no, bed, you're not the tribal chief. You're not the Superman punch. And
you're not the tribal chief, I am.
Right. You know when we used to do the reviews of the pay-per-views during the Panda when we were at home? Yeah. We'd be like, Hamflett, what are you? You'll be like, hello. We're like trying to contain it because the kids are asleep upstairs or whatever, right? Yeah. I'm watching this. It's probably got to about 1 a.m. Monday morning, this for me now. And he does it and he gets in the corner. And I went, like that as he did it. Spears him. One more crossroads. 1, 2, 3. And the look. Yeah. Oh my God. The look. The nods. And then the look of Cody when he pinned. This was just.
I feel like Chris Finch in The Office, man. Screw your blockbusters. Screw your matches. Screw your moves. Because Roman Reigns just threw a shoe over a pub. Like, God damn it. When he does, I was like, fucking yeah, get him, Roman. Like, they've done it, like, by hook or by crook and everything else in between. They've done it for one.
What do you think The Rock's thinking watching this? Wait a second.
If the world ended tomorrow, they managed it. Roman Reigns became the top babyface through nothing more than being Roman Reigns. It seemed like it was never going to happen. The heel turn made it so, etc., etc., etc. Just, like, worth its weight in gold.
You could say suffer and succotash now, and I think that's over.
I quite like that. Is that the new Bloodline catchphrase?
Can I shock you? I actually like suffer and succotash now.
Jay's called suffering and Jimmy's called succotash. Sounds perfect. No, that moment of, like, not just the ooh-ah, but the everything, the catharsis of it for the fans that have been chanting "We want Roman" all this time, for Roman to take that one look.
Hey, you all right?
And just get the validation and the vindication that he deserved a lot longer than he got. Never his fault, was it? Let's be honest.
No.
Never ever his fault. It felt more, you're right, it felt more than just this fantastic bloodline story, this amazing new Cody ingredient. It did feel like the culmination of some sort of broken 8-year project that's finally come good, that we're going to get Roman Reigns. And I tell you what as well.
The only thing that come good watching this, let me tell you. You set them up, I'll knock them down, pal. Sorry.
Just a t-shirt. Oh, the calm!
I'm getting that OTJ after Thingy's comment.
Oh, t-shirt.
One true journalist.
Like you were saying, oh, the jizz. Right.
I think AJ Styles has got loads of those sort of shirts from TNA, hasn't he? Can I get it make a lot more like jizz on this top, please?
Oh man, it was magic. It was better than wrestling. I'll tell you that. That's what I want to watch. Like you can't do it all the time. You can't. Sometimes something takes 8 years. Sometimes it takes 4 months. Sometimes, like if you count the Bloodline story, maybe like 4 years. You wait.
I told you the Bloodline story's still great. I told you. I told each and every one of you. I said.
You wait a long time sometimes in wrestling, and sometimes you have to. That's the reality as well. Sometimes the patience is required for the payoffs to be as satisfying. There was loads of them on the show, and this was the best of the bunch, obviously. We have been full of praise, and
Matt Reigns has just written in the comments. It's still going from the Nia Jax match.
Yeah. I gotta pull you up on one tiny thing from your review. So Sikoa shit the bed, mate. He was rubbish.
I enjoyed this. I thought he did what he needed to do in this match.
Nicholas? Sorry, yeah, fair enough. You're a smart guy.
I can understand. Yeah, people being like, just get to the.
I extended the latitude to the point where I think you were the first person, the only real one in the game, to illustrate this point to me of like, no, Hamflett, he's rubbish on purpose. That's the point, and I will go somewhere. My God!
Brian's already done it.
Brian.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Brian, as always.
Pushing again. That's a goated piece of business.
Wear that to All In.
Yeah. You get it? You wouldn't get it. You don't watch that show. You should probably watch the other one. Oh, sure, if anything. Nah, it wasn't good. Solo Sikoa could play the pretender up to a point, and that's quite funny way this set out. Oh, I was rubbish again, exactly as I was supposed to be.
Yeah,
pay me. I nailed it. So I suppose you can ride that out for quite a long time. Yeah. He just falls out the Royal Rumble or something. Thank you very much. See you later. Him and Tonga Loa. There's a tag team of who can shit it up the most. This was the night, and everybody felt it. I feel in the duration, waiting for the fun stuff to start.
Maybe I was kind to Solo because I loved him sitting on the table after going, no!
A great visual. A nice callback to Roman doing it at Money in the Bank last year against the Apron. And he's just screaming, going, no, when the Usos have first pinned him.
So good.
And the Bloodline Civil War is going to be incredible. Roman coming back first is such an awesome story beat. That was the other thing I was going to talk about. It's such an awesome story beat as opposed to being the Usos, because it is Roman's responsibility to put that group back together. He was the one that constantly got in between those brothers, that constantly abused Jay, then Jimmy, then Jay. He was a manipulator. Roman has come back maybe a changed man, or a man that has had things happen to him that have forced him to reevaluate. But the Usos probably shouldn't be his mates right away.
No.
He's got to win them back. He's got to say yes, right? He's got to acknowledge them. Mm-hmm. All the things they left behind, he's now got to address one after another, so we can all jizz and cry, and then we can get to War Games.
That actually links nicely, because I'm going to get to some of the comments from YouTube now. First one in from Steve Nicolakopoulos. Thank you, as always, to the former Edward Shirazens, who says, "G'day, gents. OTC is back. Assuming Jacob Fatu and Hikuleo are a go, which four would you surround Roman with for a classic Survivor Series match?" Jeff Hardy, so he can dance on the ramp during beatdowns.
It's the Usos and Sami Zayn, right?
Yeah. That's the dream,
it's
isn't it?
Usos
with
and Sami
Paul
Zayn.
Heyman.
Well, but hang on. If there's Hikuleo and Jacob and Solo and the Tongans, we go back to that thing we talked about months ago, and it's Cody Rhodes as and it's Cody and Roman as, can they really survive this War Games match together? I would argue in that case you put the heel bloodline over. But He's the perfect fifth guy. I love a gazillion things about this, but I really love that does feel like that's where we're going. And at some point, Kevin Owens is going to be forced to choose what he wants to do about all of this, because Sami Zayn is going to just be all in. By this point, he'll probably tag champions with Jey. So he's like, you know what? Roman's apologized. He's made right with Jey. He's made right with Jimmy. He's made right with me. It's time to move past this. And I was, mate, you're taking a piss. Every version of this stable has beat my ass. Like, I can't just...
Look what he gave to you and what you just drop us. And
yeah, I really like that story playing out as well.
Thank you to Larry Robb for your donation. Thank you, Larry. Sadly, I can't watch live, even though Delta caused me to miss SummerSlam in person.
Oh,
Go ahead,
Larry.
Mate. I enjoyed watching it so much. The Fed is on fire. I'm so excited for the fallout. Thank you again for such amazing content. Thank you very much, Larry, for that. Andy says, many wrestling critics don't know the difference between dialogue and exposition. Punk didn't just go for Rollins because of the bracelet. He thought he was messing with him because of the missed 3 count.
Yeah. Like there was a lot for Punk to obsess over instead of focusing on what should have been the plan, which was to beat Drew McIntyre. And that has been a consistent thread throughout their story. Punk one-upping Drew was never just about, I'm going to run in and ruin your night again. It was about getting in Drew's head. Mm-hmm. And for the first time and at the right time, Drew flipped the script and turned what he knew about Punk in on himself and used the bracelet as like a conduit to everything that followed.
Just Daryl says, not really a fan of the Bloodline saga. The real family civil war is Mega versus Mike. Raphone.
Oh, yeah.
Excited for Mega to make his What Culture debut. Happy Monday, goats. I'm not going to reveal anything about that just yet, but stick around. And Matt Reigns with a great take on all this. Matt says, happy Monday, gents. Happy Monday to you too, Matt. I had more fun on X while watching SummerSlam than the show itself, but glad you guys enjoyed it. Cheers, brothers. That's the way to take it, isn't it?
We had, me and my good friend Matt Reigns had some back and forth on X during the show. And I think, yeah, like to Matt's point, and I guess what we were circling back to what we said at the start, if you are online, and not just this, watching us or listening to us or anything, but if you're on X or Reddit or whatever, you might find yourself in some arguments over a show like this. And I think, again, this is like the closest to Sid likes that pancakes and waffles analogy. Like, this is a bit of that for me. Like, I think there will be a lot of people looking at SummerSlam and being like, that's the best tasting pancakes I've ever had. And then just as many people saying, well, they're terrible waffles. I just feel like that's a good thing. Honestly, I'm going to have an amazing time at All In, but even if I was like watching at home, I feel like that's AEW putting forth the best version of itself, and I would enjoy that too for being intrinsically AEW. I rallied against this in 2020 and 2021. It's probably a great time to be a wrestling fan if North American wrestling is your thing. I think AEW's on the right track, and WWE right now is speaking for itself.
Here's something nice. Curtis Santiago says, Fed's on fire, new baby's looking healthy, and Punk is back, baby. Happy Monday to Dr. Fed and Mr. Red. Thank you very much, Curtis, for that. And yes, lovely to hear that news as well.
Punk, by the way, Punk maybe defines this divide more than anybody else, because my word, I saw some abuse being thrown that way, not just towards Punk, but towards the match, towards the choices they made with the match, instead of it being like just a blood and thunder fight to the death kind of thing. Like that they went down the route they took was just alienating to some people, and like more power to those people. If that's how they felt, that's how they're going to feel.
Mr. Phoenix says, hey guys, what if Drew treats the Punk match like a number 1 contenders match and thinks he's got a shot at Gunther now? Berlin, we get Drew, Gunther, Punk, Seth, Priest, Finn, Ripley, Liv 2, Sheamus, Dunn, and also, Sheamus, Dunn. And then he says, also more Big Ham interviews. Yeah, I need to check out that one you did with Josh Brown. That's great.
Use that as an excuse to plug it, actually. I had a chat with Josh Brown about Josh Brown because he's low-key become a bit of a wrestling fan, and specifically around WrestleMania season and all the drama with Cody and The Rock. It's kind of a nice contrast because we get Scott on as cover often for our AEW coverage, and it was great getting Josh to talk primarily WWE but also wrestling as well, wherever you get your podcasts and on this Indeed channel. To Mr. Phoenix's point.
Berlin card. Jesus.
Well, this is the thing. You've not watched enough Triple H shows, Mr. Phoenix. You'll get half of that if you're lucky. But then a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania will come around and you'll be glad of it.
Yeah, Survivor Series is only a few months away.
Indeed.
Mr. Phoenix also says...
And that's in Vancouver, British Columbia, so it could be a Canada-based show.
Yeah. Mr. Phoenix also says, who's going to ref Jelly Roll and MGK versus A-Town Down?
That sounds like a job for our truth.
counts the pin and then raises the wrong team's hand. Aditya Krishnamurthy says...
3, 2,
Priest and Rhea, ain't till the
flipping judgment day.
Yeah. More on that. Also, I think he's giving you some homework. I've just seen that right. Dr. Fed, can we have an obituary reading for the flipping Judgment Day on the Raw review? We'll miss the OG4, one of my all-time favourite stables, all elevated each other's careers to another level.
That's yeah. Well, the Raw Reels are going to take 2 freaking seconds, so it's, yeah.
He's testing your noggin, that one, isn't it, still?
I hate it. I don't know why. I hate the word, and I don't know why. I think it makes me think if you'd ended up as a local radio DJ forever, you'd love words like noggin. It's the noggin, the afternoon noggin teaser.
I'd have talked about this and got a real bollocking. So let me know how you're spending your Monday night tonight. I'll be watching Roman Reigns. Who? I think West Midlands housewives are really up on their Fed, to be honest.
Now the question for Cash Core, what does OTC stand for? Funniest answers only. Traffic and travel.
Matt Reigns also says, highly recommend the Josh Brown interview. One of my faves all year, honestly. Love an outsider's look on wrestling.
Amazing, thank you.
Must watch, listen. And Joshua Nathengwe, thank you, Joshua, for your comment, says, idea, The Rock being the 5th man for Roman, doesn't need to do much, just come out at the end and maybe hit Roman with a chair at War Games.
Like, this is another cool element to all of this. Roman has done what he should have done. You know, like Solo stopped just short calling out, didn't he, the other week on SmackDown, and has come back to reclaim what is obviously his, but what has been this whole ghost at the feast the entire time Solo's been in charge. Is like, well, is it even Solo's or is it The Rock's? And now Roman doing this to Solo is going to feel like, well, Roman saving Cody is going to feel like a swipe to The Rock because Cody broke The Rock's heart. That night after WrestleMania, the belt exchange, the whole, what did he put in his hand?
Did I tell you what I came up with I think we were doing a Q&A, me and Sidge, last week, and it suddenly popped into my head what it was, what it could be.
What Rock handed Cody?
A number 30 ball from the Royal Rumble.
Oh my God. As if to say, I'm taking the spot next year.
I've already organised that. I've got this, so... I don't know where that came from.
That's amazing. I love that.
It's up there with a Blair Witch project, some might say.
That's your opus. So like Cody's like finally reveals, The Rock put his balls in my hair.
And I got him in my pocket. Final question we will leave to Mr. Phoenix.
Actually, you've got one additional question at the end after this.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
We'll conclude. Thank you to everyone who's joined us and sent questions and stuff. And I know we've gone long there, so thank you for sticking with us. But really enjoyed this show. Mr. Phoenix says, how do you think covering wrestling for your job affects the experience versus someone like me who does content for fun versus folks out there who just watch the show? Do you ever want the just watching this show experience back?
No, because I wouldn't trade it for how privileged I feel doing this job.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I love coming into work every single day. I don't require a switch off, I think, as much as other people do. That's just me. I'm broken. But I don't know. Obviously, you can't say, can you now, because you're in it. What I will say is that, and I said this to you, legitimately, and I'm very lucky to have this as one of my anxiety dreams, because there's worse things to have anxiety over. My anxiety dreams generally are being in a job that isn't this one. So I don't like to think about being on the other side of just what, like, I imagine if I didn't work here anymore for some awful, terrible reason, watching wrestling and then not getting the opportunity to come and chat with you guys about it, or have like these amazing like live chats where people can interact live, or all the crap we have on X, stuff like that. I would feel like a piece of the experience is missing.
We had a sort of snippet of this over WrestleMania, because me and Nicholas went to SmackDown just because we had an evening. We weren't covering it. You know, Miller was doing all that and what have you. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed just being able to sit there and be like, right, and if I go and get a drink or whatever and miss something, it's fine, because I don't have to make sure I remember what's... But then it's also, tinged with... As much as I'm like, oh, God, I've got to make notes whilst I watch this, the benefit of that is sometimes you'll watch something, you're like, I really want to talk to someone about this now. And I get, like you say, you get the benefit of that on as doing this as a ridiculous job.
Yeah.
Yes, boy, says, does Shane return with a Mean Street Posse in AEW?
Oh, my God. What a pivot.
Oh, my God.
I'm into it. Yeah, absolutely. Imagine that, like, they're just around the table and it's like, guys, what were you talking about? And Tony's like, well, he really wanted to get Pete Gas a deal.
Didier also says the OTC Uzi shirt is going to print money. Yep.
OT Uzi. That's nearly as good as Brian's design for you.
Matt Rain says, any special podcasts happening on Friday?
Well, funny you should ask, Matt. Yes. Speaking, as we did with Solo Sikoa, of Pretenders to the Throne, I'm going to be one in that chair again. But luckily...
Because I've refused to do this.
But luckily, I'll be with Nicholas and Phil, who can carry my ass to a very special extended Wrestle Culture, which is going to be for Marcel Laviolette's GoFundMe. For those that don't know, and it's all shared on our various socials, but Marcel Laviolette's home was very badly damaged, and he's a very loyal supporter and listener. We love him, and we love the interactions that we always have with him, as do the community of, you know, the people I'm talking to, really, some of the people that are in this chat. So his GoFundMe is already there, and we've shared it, and, you know, you can donate to it and the like. But basically, all the donations that we do as part of the Super Chats and part of the conversation, they will be going to Marcel's GoFundMe. And Nicholas, I forget the figure. I'm sorry. If we hit a certain amount, we're going to match it.
300 is what
The company will match up to $300 a donation. So that's from Future Media, our sort of parent company as well. So all of that will get lumped onto the form as well. We love Marcel, and it's awful what's happened to him. Like the damage is truly terrible. He's kind of posted about it as well. So we're looking forward to a longer form stream, multiple different ways to donate. We're going to come up with some daft stuff to do to fill the time beyond the usual nonsense that we.
Phil's in tomorrow, so we'll get all that.
Yeah, we'll put that together. We'll put something online. Sorry, yeah, thank you, Nicholas. Yeah, Phil's in tomorrow. He's the guy that's kind of able to formalise all this stuff at the back end. We'll get some marketing out online. It'll be myself, Phil Chambers, Adam Nicholas, an extended Wrestle Culture, all to the Marcel Laviolette cause. It's available on his GoFundMe, which you can search for through all our socials as well.
Shout out to Marcel. You had a final question, or was it related? That's the wall, brother.
I hope you like Wall. That was the question. Actually, this is a nice second for it. What is, who are, and what is the names of all of the members of a certain group that is now unfortunately going to be disbanded?
Ooh. He asks, what is the names of a certain group who's about to be disbanded? I believe he's talking about Damien Priest, Rhea Ripley, Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Dominic Mysterio.
Spit on that thing.
Who soon no longer, but previously have been there. I don't know how to set it up. No. There in the fucking judgment day. Yeah. Right, this has been the SummerSlam review. Thank you once again to everyone who's joined us and sent us questions and donations on YouTube. Continue the conversation with us on X at WhatCultureWWE. Actually, you can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
You can follow our brilliant producer at It's Adam Nicholas. You can follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE, as I said. And make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. The Collision Review and the Raw Preview are available right now. But for now, this has been the SummerSlam review. My thanks to Michael Hamflett. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.